Hey, what's up guys? The iPhone X is finally here and there's a lot of new and exciting things on this phone. Surprisingly though, it might not be exactly what iPhone fans have been dreaming of. How so? Let's find out. I'm Will for GSMArena and this is our iPhone X review. Our space gray iPhone X is here, and it's gorgeous. We've never seen an iPhone like this before, and Apple is clearly reinventing this series with this one. The new bezel-less screen design is among its most striking features. It's the first iPhone to have an OLED display, and it comes with all the perks you would expect. Deep blacks, great contrast, HDR video support, and good color accuracy. Since it's OLED, there is the risk of burn-in in the screen over time. Sort of early to say, but while reviewing it, we didn't notice any issues. It's a good thing that color shifting when looking at an angle is down to a minimum too. The screen's diagonal is 5.8 inches, but don't let the numbers fool you. With its tall aspect ratio, you're actually getting a smaller screen surface than the 5.5-inch iPhone 8 Plus. And that's without counting the fact that iOS doesn't make the best use of screen space. The main reason for this is the notch, which houses the front camera and the sensors for Face ID. The screen spills around it at the corners, creating an area that a lot of apps don't use. This is especially noticeable in landscape mode, where instead of an edge-to-edge screen, you get a letterbox effect with black bars. Even when holding it normally, a pretty large bottom bar tends to show up in order to visually balance out the notch. Usually it's housing some options or features of the particular app. So overall, your usable screen space may end up being just a little bigger than the regular iPhone 8s. And if an app does come up full screen, parts of it could be hidden behind the notch. It seems like the OS came out a bit rushed and the UI design doesn't really fit the architecture of the display. Hopefully things look better once updates roll out. That said, iOS 11.1 does run pretty smoothly thanks to Apple's A11 BIONIC chipset and 3 gigs of RAM, the same as on the iPhone 8 Plus. In benchmarks, performance on the iPhone X is even better than the 8's, and in regular use we didn't notice any lag. When it comes to actually using the iOS interface without a home button, it could certainly be better. The home button has been replaced with navigation gestures. Swipe down from the right side of the notch to go to the control center, and swiping from the left side opens the notification center. Swipe up to go home, swipe up and hold to see all open apps, and swipe left or right on the home bar to switch between apps. Yeah, it's a lot of swiping and not so easy to do one-handed. It all feels a bit strange. They could have done a better job of making the controls feel more intuitive for long-time iPhone users. Every missed swipe or accidental app closure makes you wish that Apple was adapting to its customers, not forcing things the other way around. On the iPhone X, Apple has done away with Touch ID, going instead with Face ID. The facial recognition uses numerous infrared beams to map the shape of your face, and will do the same every time you unlock. It even works in the dark. Face ID is surprisingly accurate, recognizing you with sunglasses or a hat on, and it will adapt to gradual changes like hair growth. And it's secure. A picture won't fool it like it can on Android devices. And notifications from different apps can be linked to Face ID, remaining hidden until you show your face to the screen. There are a couple of annoying things though. One is that you have to hold the phone in front of you, so no unlocking while you're at an angle or when the phone's just lying on a desk. And it's not quite as fast as fingerprint readers on new devices. Also, Face ID isn't actually hands-free. Once it recognizes your face, you still have to swipe on the screen to unlock. It just seems like another extra step you have to take. We find ourselves missing the convenience of Touch ID, and can't wait for a phone with both systems on board. But face scanning technology is also used to enable emojis. If you ever wanted to turn your face into a chicken or a talking poop, now you finally have your chance. The mapping really makes the emojis seem lifelike, and they're a nice alternative to reaction GIFs, but they're hard to use outside of iMessage. Build-wise, the iPhone X is pretty solid, and it feels a bit heavier than the iPhone 7. There's IP67 dust and water resistance, which with this sort of investment you definitely want to have. Just remember that the phone is made of mostly glass on the outside, so you might want to slap a case on it. The power button has some new functionality on the iPhone X. Holding it down brings up Siri, and a double press opens up Apple Pay in certain markets. To turn off the phone, you have to hold down both this button and the volume key. A little awkward. For audio, the iPhone X does bring stereo speakers, and the sound is even louder and more clear than its siblings. Of course, there is no headphone jack, so be ready to carry a dongle. Battery life is decent on the iPhone X. With a 2700 mAh battery, it won't win any awards, but in our proprietary test it earned a respectable 74 hours. It's better than the iPhone 8, but not quite as good as the 8 Plus. Charging speed isn't the fastest. With the included charger, we got a measly 20% in 30 minutes. You can get quick charging, but you'd have to use something like an iPad or a MacBook charger. At least you get wireless charging. Using a charging pad, we got 17% in half an hour. You can opt for 64 or 256 gigs of internal storage, but as usual, there is no microSD slot. With new high-efficiency codecs, photos and videos only take up half the space, so most people should be fine with 64 gigs. If you're taking lots of 4K videos though, you might want to go for the larger option. So let's talk a little bit about the dual camera setup. It's overall quite similar to the one on the 8 Plus. There is one wide-angle and one telephoto camera, both at 12 megapixels. On the iPhone X, the telephoto has a new lens with a brighter f2.4 aperture, and it also has OIS just like the wide-angle cam. But even with OIS, the telephoto camera is still not used for low-light photos. The iPhone sticks with a crop from the wide-angle camera. But wide-angle low-light photos are excellent, with low noise and sharp images, even having a little edge over the iPhone 8 Plus. In good lighting, again, the iPhone X brings the best Apple has to offer. There's great dynamic range, loads of detail, and the colors are pleasant and not oversaturated. Zooming in with a telephoto lens looks great too, giving the same level of quality. Portrait mode produces an artistic-looking shot with a blurred background behind your subject. Apple's flagships are bringing some of the best software bokeh effects we've seen on a phone. After you take the shot, you have access to several options. You can turn off the blur or enable one of several portrait lighting modes, each giving a different artificial lighting effect to your subject. The iPhone X does one-up its siblings by bringing portrait mode and portrait lighting to selfies. The shots from the 7-megapixel front camera are not as high quality as those on the main camera, but still great to have. As for video, the iPhones remain the only smartphones able to shoot in 4K at 60 frames per second. They're so much smoother than the competition thus far, especially when zoomed in thanks to the OIS on the telephoto cam. And 1080p videos are good too, with quality rivaling its competitors. We end this review with mixed feelings. The iPhone X brings a great OLED screen and a fresh new design. Face ID is totally unique, and like past iPhones, the performance and the camera are among the best. But for such a huge price, a product like this shouldn't feel rough around the edges. The UI rearrangement around the notch doesn't look great, and swipe gestures are a bit clumsy. We do love that Apple is taking steps forward though, and hopefully next year's version will be more refined and improved. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and you can always stop by GSMArena.com for our full test findings. See ya!